Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Think Future. My name's Chris Calabucas, and once again, we're coming at you live from deep in the heart of Silicon Valley, California. We're talking innovation, startups, the future, not necessarily those, and not necessarily in that order. If you're watching on YouTube, smack that subscribe button and hit that bell so you'll be notified when a new show comes online. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast service, please subscribe and please drop a note on Apple Podcasts. I greatly appreciate it. Now, I've been playing with ChatGPT, as we have all. We have all been playing with ChatGPT lately, and who hasn't played with ChatGPT? And some people go, what is that? Never heard of it. It's everywhere. AI is everywhere. AI is round out every other single technology discussion. Even though Apple had a very interesting reveal last week with the Apple Vision Pro, which I'm going to talk about in tomorrow's show, people are still nuts over AI. I'm a little concerned about AI, though. I'm a little concerned about bias in AI. Because one of the things, when AI first came out, it was great. It was very similar. See, this is the cycle. And I think I've mentioned to you before about the cycle. When a technology is first released into the world, into the universe, into the internet, and this is post-internet, because we already have the foundation of the internet. We already have the ability to communicate one-on-one with many other people all around the planet. And the foundation, that foundation is there. And then blogs were invented. Blogs allowed us, regular human beings, not the mainstream media, not the elite media, not the paid-for media, not the head content, to create content ourselves and get it out there. So anybody who had access to a computer could create a blog. And if this blog was found and it became popular, it could become super popular. So that we went through that with blogs. We went through that with podcasts. We went through that with videos. We've gone through that with every single social media service that's come out. Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. All of these sites are sites that allow us human beings to be able to generate content and allow that content to be spread everywhere. And when each one of these mediums or media became available, it was a wild west. Anybody could say anything without having to worry about being censored. You could say anything you wanted, and because it was generated by a human being, of course it was full of bias. Of course there were facts in there, but there was also all sorts of other stuff in there that was based on what a human being would say. And because we are highly opinionated, it could be full of science, it could be full of opinion, it could be full of fact, it could be full of BS. But at least our messages got out there. Every single medium since then has had this period of time at the very beginning where it's a free-for-all and anybody can say whatever they want. Happened with blogs, happened with videos, happened with everything. And then, once it became more commercialized, once bigger players got into the mix, once advertisers got into the mix, then the tone changed. These sites started to censor and tweak and guide content so that certain types of content were allowed and certain types of content were not allowed. So it always started with a free-for-all. But then as time goes by, it got more and more censored. Opinions that were unpopular were suddenly eliminated completely. I mean, you can see this on YouTube. You can see this on many services where it started off great, but then there was a particular period of time when all of a sudden speech was shut down. unpopular opinion was shut down. Try saying something against climate change today, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a note at the bottom of this thing, even though the science isn't settled. I had a great conversation with ChatGPT just a few minutes ago about science and what science is all about. And science is not settled. Science is never settled. In fact, that is the whole point of science, because science is everything we've currently observed up until this point. We have made some conclusions on what we believe things are like due to science, but new evidence can come along and change those conclusions. Science is never settled. There's no such thing as settled science. However, there are certain opinions that have become what some people say is settled science. Now, I'm not talking about climate change. I'm not talking about any of those things at all. What I'm talking about is the ability for us to be able to speak freely of these things. Whether they're true or not, or their opinions or not, this has been curtailed, and with every single medium, it's happened the same way. It started off with Wild West. Anybody could say whatever they wanted, and those opinions could get out there. And then as time went by, and they became more commercialized, they became more advertiser-friendly, those things were tweaked and tweaked and tweaked. And now comes ChatGPT. ChatGPT went through the exact same thing, but it went through it in such lightning fashion that you could see that now what's happened is that all of these new innovations, anything that's coming on from now on, is going to be looked at with the lens of how can we control this so that it doesn't produce unpopular opinions. How can we make this happen? How can we put guardrails on this thing so it doesn't produce unpopular opinions? But if you ask me, if you look at every innovation over the last, God knows, hundreds of thousands of years of human innovation, most innovation has been from an unpopular opinion. And if we are building systems where from the get-go unpopular opinions are not allowed, then where's innovation going to come from? Are we only allowed to innovate in these safe spaces inside popular opinion? Or are we going to be allowed to innovate outside of these spaces where there's unpopular opinion? I think I told you once before about the guy who never showered for 12 years. He didn't shower for 12 years because he invented a spray that he would spray on himself, and it would kill all bacteria. Now people thought, oh, that's disgusting. But that's an unpopular opinion. If I had an unpopular opinion today, that if it doesn't line up with the party line, then I could be censored. But the problem is that these things that don't line up with the party line in many times are innovative or disruptive, can create brand new things, can improve the lives of humanity. But if we automatically put guardrails on things because we're worried about people having unpopular opinions or AI generating unpopular ideas, then we're really in trouble. We're really in trouble if we're not allowed to give media and give tools and give these new things that we developed the leeway to come up with things that are unpopular so that we can explore them. Do you think science was always popular? Do you think science always came up with things that everybody agreed with? God, no. Look at the history of science, where scientists were stoned, were killed, were told to drink hemlock. There's so many situations where scientists were literally killed because they had unpopular opinions. And now, today, in 2023, instead of allowing scientists to have unpopular opinions online, we squash those before we even allow it to happen. We don't even let our AIs have unpopular opinions anymore. So if you ask me, this does not bode well for innovation going forward. Because if you ask me, without unpopular opinions, where is innovation? That's it for me for today. See you next time, and until then, don't forget to think future.